Hey guys, welcome back to the Horse Girls podcast. My name's Nana Sarfo, and we're here in sunny Thermal, California at the Desert Horse Park. Right now I'm sitting with Kendall Bourgeois with Imagination Lane, and she's going to tell us a bit about the program #We Ride Together, which is here to prevent sexual misconduct in the equestrian sport and also provide education. So Kendall, I'm so happy to be sitting with you today in this beautiful, horse show. Really love to hear more about #We Ride Together, the program, what you do, and then of course more about you. So if you want to take some time to introduce yourself formally for the audience, we'd love to hear about you and the program.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Kendall. Me and my sister run Imagination Lane out of Wilsonville, Oregon. We are down here with our customers in our barn showing at Desert Horse Park. And we are wrapping up competition tomorrow.
Yes.
So, today we're talking a little bit about We Ride Together, which is an organization that has been put together by a group of passionate individuals to bring education and awareness to sexual misconduct in the equestrian sport as well as all youth sports across the country.
I wanted to really ask about, your path as a junior rider to a trainer, because I know a lot of people, maybe they can relate, maybe they are going to relate soon as juniors trying to go to the trainer path. Yeah, I wanted to ask, were there any experiences that shaped you as a junior to your trainer career? I'd love to know.
Yeah, so as a junior, I had a great junior career. I got to show lots, and I was very fortunate in that regards. There are a lot of different experiences that shaped me, some better than others, and helped me become who I am today. And I think, without any of those experiences, everyone's going to evolve a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I would say for junior riders today or young adults, anyone looking to kind of decide to turn professional in this sport, it's kind of a big daunting task. But, if that's your goal, that's your aspiration, that's what you want to do in life, then go after it.
Yeah.
I think that that's great. If you're a passionate individual, you want to work hard, this is your dream is to ride horses and, gallop around this big grass field.
Yes.
then, it's a lot of work, but I think it's more than worth it.
Yeah. What inspired you to take the trainer path? Like, when did you feel like you found your calling for that?
I don't know. I would say somewhere in my teenage years, everyone's getting focused on college and what their next steps are going to be. And, it was always horses for me. And
so true.
Exactly. So I do think it is, and I try to encourage my students and young professionals, or I guess more teenagers that I know, to go to college. I didn't go to school, and it's worked out all right for me.
Yeah.
But I've seen it not work out for some young adults, and I would always encourage, junior riders, get a degree of some sort.
Yeah.
It can be online, it can be at a community college, it can be drawn out over 10 years, but get something so that, if you make it to 30 or 40 and you're burnt out and you want to do something else, that you have a little bit of a fallback.
Yeah.
You don't have to start over. You don't have to start from scratch. I feel like this day and age, there's a lot of resources online for being able to go to school just at your own pace. One class online. Our assistant trainer, she's going to school full-time online while working for us, and her goals are to be able to attend college in the fall in person and, end up with a degree. So I think that is super important. Now they have the, NCAA, the Equestrian.
Yes.
They have IHSA.
Yep.
There's all sorts of different riding teams at schools of all levels, and you can also go to school and not ride. You can ride on the side, you can ride at home, you can ride during break. there's so many different ways to do it and still keep horses in your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's just lots of opportunities out there for people. But I think definitely having some sort of business degree is really what's going to help you. And
yes. Yeah. I mean, I can 100% relate. Like, I'm in college. I'm sure most of the audience knows. If not, I am in college. I do go to university. You know, it's definitely doable. I'm not sure about, being a trainer and doing university, but it's really just all about the balance of it all. Yeah. I do the podcast, I do social media, I'm in business school, I still ride, and I have other businesses going on. So it's definitely possible. It's really all about discipline and managing your time. Yeah. And if you want it, you can do it, but it's just about really... You have to have the discipline. Yeah. But I think that's just for anything in life. Yeah. If you want to prioritize riding, I think you can absolutely do that and still get an education. I'm a firm believer of that, that you can do both. Yes. You can do anything, but it's really just about understanding. And sometimes things do have to sacrifice. Yeah. Like, sometimes you're just too busy to show. Like, for me, I can only do a couple shows a year. Yeah. And, that is a bummer, but also understanding that college is also priority and school and all of the other activities and projects I have going on. So I feel like it's important just understanding where to balance things. It's doable.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I wanted to talk about the sexual misconduct program that you have in #WeRideTogether. So I really wanted to ask, what prompted you to start this organization? And can you tell us a little bit more about the resources that your organization provides and the knowledge?
Yeah, so this organization very organically evolved from a situation involving a friend of mine, and as she navigated the path through the whole sexual misconduct in the equestrian sport, there was a lot of questions. And how did this happen? How do we fix this? And then it also has started to uncover a lot of other dark corners within our sport that unfortunately exist. And rather than just kind of moving on and, waiting for the next big moment, we decided to take action. And
that's amazing.
That's kind of where we ride together slowly, just the conversations, the outreach, the, interviews and different stuff that we did. We really realized that there is a big gaping hole of resources available for, young athletes. Yeah. And so We Ride Together started a little bit more geared towards equestrian, and the more kind of digging that happened, the more we realized that it's really across all youth sports. You see it in college, you see it on a club level, you see it even after college at professional levels. Yeah. And that's where, there is a great group of individuals at We Ride Together that are dedicated to, making this issue just more talked about. It's not, I feel like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this was just kind of like a corner of our sport that just kind of happened, and maybe every once in a while someone would talk about it, and then it went away. And then the next group of junior riders would come in, and it was as if that never happened. And it never really caught up with people. And then when USEF implemented Safe Sport, which has been a great group, very controversial. I understand that.
There's been some controversy for sure.
I think that people have a lot of misinformation regarding Safe Sport. And I'm not saying they're perfect at everything they do, but they have been able to give a lot of, young athletes voices that maybe didn't have any.
And help too, I have used, I will say I have used Safe Sport before. And I mean, having something in place like that, whereas I would say, 4 years ago we didn't have anything. If anything happened, you can't report it. If there's any bullying, harassment, anything like that, you can't, there's nowhere for you to go.
Nothing to happen.
So then in this sport, all of those things get normalized, because who's going to hold me accountable? Imbalance in the sport, specifically when it comes to like junior riders and their trainers, and knowing where can I report this, or should I report this, and all eyes are on me kind of situation. A program like Safe Sport, they keep it anonymous, they keep it, you know, and they respect you, and they, you know, of course everything has its problems, but for what we didn't have, you know, in the past, like I feel like it's a good start.
Exactly. And I will say, not every scenario, like Safe Sport is a bit of a long, drawn out process for everyone. I think a lot of people have experienced a lot of trauma, and sometimes going the Safe Sport route really uncovers all of that.
It's tough,
and
for
some adults aren't at a place where they're ready, you know, to talk about it. And that's more, you know, I think We Ride Together is, you know, Safe Sport's kind of taking care of things that have already happened. I feel like that's true. That's where they're at. And I think the goal with Safe Sport is also how to, you know, now that it's here and it's slowly deterring individuals from that type of behavior that's not acceptable. Or, you know, is it finally holding them a little bit more accountable? I mean, the fraction of people that probably would meet the requirements for a Safe Sport, you know, suspension or ban versus the people that actually receive them, I think is, you know, quite a bit different there. But I think, you know, the biggest thing that we're trying to tackle with We Ride Together is how to change the future in youth sports. And I think the largest piece of that is, you know, education and awareness and different methods to spot and be able to report, how to report, who to report to, who to talk to. You know, maybe there's some people that are confused. And I think if you go to the We Ride Together website, there's a bunch of information on, you know, different resources depending on your needs. You know, if it's a friend that you know that is going through something that confided in you and you're not sure what to do with your information, or maybe you know what you're supposed to do, but you either need encouragement to get there or need support or need to understand the process before you really commit to how you handle that information. And I think that it's a little bit more about bringing a community of individuals together that might otherwise not be able to find each other. And I think through We Ride Together and the organization, it has brought a lot of individuals together, and it is shocking how similar most of these stories are.
Wow.
And that's, you know, really for me been kind of the eye-opener of like, wow, this is definitely a large issue.
Yeah, it's jarring for sure. I mean, it's beautiful though that we can bring so many people together. But it does really show that there is a serious issue in the sport that really needs to be addressed. But it's so wonderful with, you know, programs such as #WeRideTogether that are in place to not only provide support for people in a community, but also a little bit of a, you know, a watchful eye to make sure that these incidents, you know, decrease and stop happening as frequently as they do. So I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much for telling us about that. So I really wanted to ask you, you know, regarding #WeRideTogether, the resources that you have, are they specifically for equestrian instance of misconduct, or do you kind of act as Safe Sport where you have resources for all types of misconduct such as bullying, harassment?
Really reiterate to check out the website. It really does a great job of explaining different hotlines, preventions, different resources that there are. And I will say it's a bit of an evolving topic in the sense that even since our organization kind of formed, I mean, monthly, yearly, we are adding stuff to it and bringing more and more groups together that have been small groups in the past. And there's different hotlines, people that you can talk to, people you can message, email.
That's incredible.
And not directly with our organization, but it's mostly just a platform of bringing putting all of these different resources for everyone kind of in one spot for someone to read through. And,
that's incredible.
How to handle it, how to, if something maybe just recently happened to you, different phone numbers, people to talk to, what kind of step you're at, different things there. Maybe you had a friend or a barn mate or a teammate or something that you think might have happened or you heard might have happened.
Yeah.
If you go there, it shows you, different ways to report and who to report to and different organizations within that.
That's wonderful. Yeah, so it's like really just almost for everyone really who's experiencing different, issues in the sport. And I wanted to also, I would love for us to also just reiterate, how important and how much of a need is in this sport for a program such as this. I'd love, because I think, what we touched upon in the beginning is there's a lot of misinformation out there that I think leads to a lot of people having certain opinions or stigmas. And so I'd love if you could really reiterate on that point of how important, how much there is a need for this community.
There's definitely a need. I don't think anyone would disagree with me in that regard.
Yes.
And I think, we have a bit of an older generation within the equestrian sport that is very
true
against safe sport, very against this. And, all I have to say is if they're that against it, they likely have something to hide.
Me too. I've been saying that forever. I'm like, what do you have to hide,
Yeah, if you have nothing to hide, then safe sport, why wouldn't you support it?
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between questioning safe sport and just being like, is this providing the most adequate resources to actively pushing it away and being like, there's no need for safe sport.
Exactly. And, truthfully, I don't know a ton about safe sport. I know my safe sport experience. I know
mine too. Yeah.
I know about safe sport experiences of others.
Yes.
But I don't know all the facts and details behind it. And there's probably other people that know more. And I have just seen safe sport work wonders for people that maybe otherwise didn't have, anywhere to go with the information they had. And I think it's also important to remember that a lot of times it can be little tidbits of information. Maybe you overheard a trainer in the back ring just laying into some poor student that was crying, and you thought it was taken a little bit too far, and then you turn around and maybe you just write in and just say, hey, I noticed this. I thought it was a little bit out of line. Maybe it's not really my place, but just thought you should know about it. It was uncomfortable. It made me uncomfortable. Right. People were talking about it, and that's it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
It's not like then you're going to get turned around and interrogated for 3 days about it.
But
it could be, slowly a list of, 100 people maybe call in with a similar story about a similar individual at some point. Then safe sport goes, okay, something's going on here. And sometimes even just having a conversation or no, this didn't happen, or this is what was really going on, and changing things. So many safe sport cases don't end up in a result of suspension or a ban. I think when everyone thinks of safe sport, they think of these permanent life bans.
And I think but I think it's also really important too to emphasize safe sport doesn't do things lightly. When it comes to those suspensions and those bans you see, all I'm going to say is safe sport. I have safe sport, so I know the process. It is long, it's lengthy, and that can be a little bit frustrating for minor cases like mine. But if you really think about it, if they're using that long process on something as small as my case, which is just about just bullying in general, then you could have just imagined what they're doing for those bigger cases of sexual misconduct.
Exactly.
It's not. I just really want to be clear with that. They're not just banning people willy-nilly. That's not happening.
It takes months, years,
yes,
to make this stuff all come together. There are layers and layers
yes.
of, interviews and evidence, and, whatever they do at their headquarters, I'm not really sure. And it's not just a bunch of people sitting around gossiping about one individual. I mean, it's, you report, you maybe have your interview, and then you move on, and then you sit and wait like everyone else until things come together. And it's not a big party where everyone's just gossiping about each other. It truly isn't. And I think that, I find it very fascinating, the older generation of horse trainers in our industry. And I get it. It was a bit of a different time as far as styles of coaching.
Yes.
A bit more, shall I say, like aggressive style
very
of
aggressive,
coaching
yes.
that, isn't tolerated anymore. And, some of those people might say everyone's soft now. You can't really coach anyone without anyone getting upset. And, I'm here to say, yeah, you can. You can get the same information across to someone with just a normal tone of voice versus screaming at them. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And as someone who has experienced, both sides of training, and honestly, I think I mentioned this on another episode, but I completely had my confidence destroyed by strong, harsh training. I was just yelling, and I had my confidence destroyed for a good 2 years, and it really set me me so far back in the sport. So that really just goes to show that that type of style of just teaching is not efficient. It doesn't help, and you can actually set people back. And I think it takes sometimes months or years to recognize the damage that's been done. Yes, it's not like you sit there at the end of the day and are like, wow, that was a damaging day for me. That's also a point too as well, that I think a lot of people don't recognize too, that when that happens, it's not every time in the moment you're like, because sometimes I'll see, comments where it's like, oh, I love when my trainer screams at me. Okay, well, in the moment, it may seem like that, but I'm promising give it 5 years, to let it really sit. And then sometimes, it gets so, sometimes you don't even know where it came from. And then, 5 years later, it clicks, and you're like, wow. Ooh. that wasn't it. So... I would say just for riders that feel that any inkling of that feeling of intuition or that gut feeling that you have, even if it's a second of a thought, think about it, think about the situation that you're in, reevaluate it, see the problems in your riding, and really try to analyze is this coming from me, or might this be coming from the situation that I'm in as a rider. And and I think if it's something that you recognize happening in your barn or with your trainer or your coach, talk about it. Talk about it. Don't go home and just, press those emotions down. Talk about it, whether it's with your parent. Maybe you don't like the style of the coaching, and maybe you talk about it with your friend in the barn, or maybe your friend that's not even associated with the sport. Maybe it's, your friend that you're friends with online that, maybe rides at another barn in a different state that you've become friends with, that you've met at horse shows, that you hang out with. Talk about it. Is all I have to say. Don't is this normal? Is this something that happens at your barn? This is going on. It makes me uncomfortable. At what point does it cross that line? And I think for a lot of people, it crosses the line before they even realize it. And all I have to say, even as a trainer now, is there's so many barns out there, and I really think that there's a barn for everyone. There really is. And sometimes you just have to play matchmaker a little bit. I am so I don't know how this is controversial, but apparently this is very controversial, where I've commonly called myself a barn hopper, because in the past I was a barn hopper, especially growing up in a little town like Las Vegas. There's only 6 barns. So there's not a lot of options for anyone. So it's very that was just part of the culture of just growing up. Everybody was barn hopping because there weren't a lot of options for us to go ride. And I mean, through that, I was able to see different training styles, what didn't work, what did work, things that I didn't like. And I
I really want to, like, you know, encourage that it's okay to find a barn that works for you. It's okay to switch. Maybe you have to switch a couple barns just to find. It's not, you know, I don't know why there's a big stigma about it.
Yeah.
But
I think for a lot of people that have ridden in one place for so long, it seems so foreign to leave. You know, you have the roots there, and, you know, maybe you're a junior, you have 1 year left, you don't want to uproot everything you have. I kind of said this before. It's like junior riders, they feel like they have this expiration date when they hit their 18th birthday. Like, it's all going to implode. It's all over. You know, who wants to be an amateur? But
Amy life is great, guys. Just saying. I love being an Amy.
It's like, guess what? Your 18th birthday comes and goes. You know, you age out.
And you still are alive, I promise.
You're still alive. You're still doing the same things. You still put your pants on the same way. And, you know, I think that would have been some advice that I would have liked to have heard as a junior rider.
Yeah, me too,
There's
honestly.
so much pressure. And it's like, look, if it's not working, if it's not comfortable, if you're not looking forward to going to the barn each day, like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. That's where it clicked for me too, because I was in a rut where it's like riding wasn't fun anymore. Like I would cancel lessons, which I never do. And I was just like riding. It got to a point where riding was just not fun anymore. And I mean, it really, again, it didn't take me until like a year and a half to realize that it was just the environment that I was in. And I mean, the damage had already been done at that point, but I wish there was more. And you know, it's tougher when you don't have, you know, parents that are into the sport as much. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, my parents,
they don't know how to guide you.
Yeah, they know nothing about horses, so they don't know anything. And then you yourself don't know much because you've just seen what you've seen. Yeah. And so I think, that's why it's so important to sometimes you just have to experiment, you know, and just go around and just barn hops.
Well, and I think also it's like this podcast, you know, girls listening to this online is probably who's going to be listening to it the most.
Yes,
you know?
horse girls.
Adults, horse people, but, you know, we're horse girls. And I think that just, you know, with the movement of social media and just being able for, you know, young adults in our sport to be able to listen to this, they're learning from it. They're hearing about other experiences that maybe weren't available to people 10 years ago, or, you know, to kids that didn't have Facebook or MySpace or TikTok or whatever the kids are doing. And,
it's so true.
So anyways, that's why I think, like, the next generation coming up, I am starting to see a lot more, I find, with the young professionals even in our area, like more of a close-knit group of individuals. And, you know, not this, you know, you're on that side of the fence or this side of the fence. Like, you know, if you want to ride here, you have to do this, or if you want to ride there, you have to do that. And I think it's a lot about, you know, what level of riding you want to do. Do you want to go to horse shows or not? It's perfectly fine to sit at home and lesson and clinic. And, you know, ride on the beach bareback if you want to.
Love it.
Versus, you know, coming down here, this is obviously, you know, the largest show on the West Coast.
It is,
And you can show all the way up to the highest level of our sport, up through the FBI 5-star level. And guess what? There's different barns for every step of the way. And you just have to find what's important for you. I mean, coaching style, I think, is massive. Horse care, and that can be a huge one. I think it's a massive deal breaker for myself. It's shocking how many people don't consider horse care to be, you know, top of the list.
I know. In my opinion. I have so many, like, requirements. If it doesn't hit, it's gone. Like, I'm very picky.
You know, location, the facility, and the vibe. You have to get, you know, it's a group of individuals. It's a family.
Oh yeah, it's a vibe. It's about vibes, guys. You have to vibe. Sometimes you have to vibe check a barn. Like, honestly, it's about vibes.
Who has a good time? And, you know, a good time is different to everyone. It means something different to everyone. Exactly. And small barns, big barns, you know, all everywhere in between. And I think that, you know, I'm pretty proud of the community that we've grown at our barn, and I love it. It's for me. It's for beautiful. The people in our barn, I would say. But is it for everyone? No. We've weeded some people out. Some people haven't loved it. It's not for them. Like, you know, it might hurt in the moment, but it's like, you know what, in the big picture, we're here to have fun. And I think that is the number one goal. And, like, you can't lose sight of that. You just can't.
So well said.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for elaborating on that and just providing so much insight for like riders that sometimes are in this predicament and they don't know if they should switch or anything like that.
Yeah.
And, I've been there. As a trainer, what are you most proud of? I would love to, hear about your proudest moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can single-handedly say like one specific proud moment. I would say it's really kind of a group of a bunch of them. I think what I'm most proud of is in, the 11 years since we started Imagination Lane. I mean, we started it, with just a couple of customers, and what it's grown into now, I am super proud of it. I'm super proud of our customers and our horses and our group of staff that we have. And I just feel like, when we decided to start this business and what we wanted to do and kind of our values that we really wanted to stick to, and, it hasn't been perfect, all the way through. There's been some high highs, some low lows.
Yeah, like any barn. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's life.
Yeah, it's life.
But,
for real.
I think if you really look at the overall picture, I'm really happy with what we've created and the family we have. And, when we go to horse shows, everyone's excited. Everyone's excited to come to their lessons and, what they are truly getting out of it. And I think it's also remarkable when we have a kid that does age out and maybe does move on to college and we do have to sell their horse. I mean, it happens. I get it.
Yeah.
And I think to be able to watch some of those young adults kind of flourish and go to school, start their careers, where they go a bunch of different directions, and it's kind of cool. I would say like similar to a school teacher in that sense that, they have a little piece of, coaching the kids or teaching them, on their path, and then kind of seeing them go out in the real world and
leaving the
grow
bird's
up.
nest.
And I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, I love that so much. And I think so many of us can, relate to that too, is like, as riders that have, moved on from different barns or, have moved states even, I'm here for college now, so I don't ride in Vegas anymore, but I think of like the barns where I started at that like really helped jumpstart that passion, it's like it's always a little part of you, Yeah,
and people take breaks also.
Yeah.
As a young adult, you pretty frequently see kids taking a step back from riding, going to school.
Yes.
And growing up.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
you
that's
gotta become an adult.
Yeah.
And, finding maybe after university they come back and they start riding. Maybe they go have a career for 10 years. Maybe they have a family. Maybe they switch disciplines. Maybe they've been doing dressage their whole life and they're interested in jumping. Maybe they've been jumping and decide they want to go, do Western horses. I don't know. I mean, there's so many different ways to have horses in your life. And I think like we get so wrapped up in our small little world here at these hunter jumper shows that it's like this or nothing.
It really is sometimes that culture here.
Yeah. And I think that, for most of us, just having horses in our life to some degree. And as a trainer, I would say the level at which we do it at our barn, it's for a very specific individual that wants to show at a higher level in the hunter jumper community and, be able to show at the shows that we go to. But I think that there's just all different levels to really have horses in your life. I mean, I grew up with horses in our backyard. We'd go out and, brush the mini ponies and hang out and do that. And we've had rescue horses. We've had all sorts of different stuff. And I think horses just in general, if you're a horse person, you're a horse person.
Oh,
so
I love it so much.
Yeah.
And, the last question I wanted to ask you today was that, I hear that you're a new mom.
Yes.
And so is there anything you'd like to share as like a piece of advice to your daughter who might be a potential equestrian? I don't know if those are your plans for her, but is there any like piece of advice you would give her?
I don't really know about that. I think, she's only 10 months old.
Yeah.
I am like still trying to figure out this whole parenting thing.
Right.
And it's been great so far. And I don't know if she'll ride or not. I mean, it's very much up to her. If she wants to ride, great. If she doesn't, then whatever. Maybe she, wants to take up competitive trail. I don't know.
Maybe the advice is that she's free to do, it's okay if you want to ride. It's okay if you don't, you know? Yeah.
And I think you see a lot of these kids that grow up at horse shows, so they naturally just become horse riders.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
that is great for them. And then, there's maybe like the black sheep kid that decides they want to take up like
do something different.
Yeah. Which is cool. But I think it's about just letting your kids, and I would say this for the kids that ride in our barn as well, like find your passion.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. And, follow that. So if she wants to be a rider, great. If she wants to be an artist, go for it. Like,
I love that.
Whatever she wants to do. And I do feel like if she does end up in the equestrian realm of things, I think that there's some great resources out there for her. Obviously being the daughter of myself, I think there's a lot of different topics that will be covered, and I would imagine by the time she becomes a teenager, there's going to be even more.
Yeah, that is true.
I think is just so cool, and I look forward to those days.
Yeah, and I really love hearing that, as your trainer, you're so accepting of your daughter exploring different passions, because I think something I see across the board for many, kids that are, trainers, daughters or sons, is sometimes they feel that they have to, they feel forced to do it, or, them riding becomes sort of a chore rather than a passion.
Yeah.
And so I really love that, what you're saying is that riding, at the end of the day, if they want to do it, it should always be out of passion and out of that love. Yeah. So that's just so important, because that's the passion, and like it drives all of us,
for sure.
So that was amazing. But thank you so much, and of course I wish your daughter all success if she wants to, in like 5 years, like do the lead line like her.
I think we'll catch her in a couple lead lines. I think I can definitely convince her to do that. We have a little mini pony named Pickle.
Pickle, I love.
He's fantastic. He's very small, docile, kind. So she's got the perfect little first pony in him that she can go and cart him around and do the things with him. And if she wants to ride around bareback and do that, great. And we'll see where it goes from there.
That is iconic. Pickle is such an iconic name for a pony. I love it.
Fantastic.
I love it. Is he a gray or a little
Yeah, he's like a silver.
Oh,
he's like silver. I don't know what his technical color is. I'll show you pictures of him. He goes to Thunderbird with us in the summer.
Oh, wow.
And he's like a little mascot up there. We do little photo shoots with him.
Oh, Pickle.
He does lead line. He's just absolutely adorable. He has a little bit of a following up there. We put him in the first stall, and a bunch of kids always come over, and we let them take him for hand walks. And most little ponies are like out of control. They're naughty. They definitely like follow the stereotype, but Pickle's very docile. He's been great. We are so lucky to have him. And then he has a little sidekick named Poppy, who is a rescue.
Oh my gosh, Pickle and Poppy. Yeah, that's the best.
Then Poppy is a little bit bigger than Pickle, and you can ride her. She's great, but she's a little bit more standoffish. She doesn't love horse shows, so we don't take her on the show scene. That's more Pickle's vibe. And but we have fun. It's really nice to kind of see the kids playing around with them, running around in the grass field.
I love that.
Having a good time. So
well, I love Pickles. Hopefully I get to meet him one day. I would love that so much.
We'd love to have you meet Pickle.
Yeah, I would love that. And if I'm ever in Oregon, definitely
stop by.
Yeah, I'm stopping by Imagination Lane. And
for sure.
Yeah, and where in Oregon is your barn? By the way, if you want to let everyone know.
We are in Wilsonville, Oregon, which is just south of Portland. It's a pretty horsey area for the Portland area in Oregon, and that's where we train out of. We go north to Thunderbird quite often. Love it at Thunderbird. They're absolutely amazing there. We show locally. We come down here to California. We kind of bounce all over a little bit on the West Coast, and I try to mix up the show schedule each year so we can kind of do some different stuff.
Love it.
See some different things, and so it doesn't end up being the same shows over and over again. I want to see new faces. I like meeting new people. I like showing against different riders. You come here even and say the adult amateurs, you see a little bit of change throughout the circuit, and there might be one or two tough cookies that grind it out for 10 weeks in a row. I hope not. I hope someone's not showing their horse for 10 weeks in a row.
Yeah, please.
But, you know, you see some, you know, staples there, but a little bit of variety. I think this show you definitely get the heavy hitters that are at all the shows down here, but you also see a lot more small barns from different areas.
Yes, that is true.
I love we go to that show in Las Vegas in November.
Las Vegas National.
Yes.
Okay, I will be there. Okay. Yes.
We've gone there in the past, and I think it's super fun because there's all these small barns, and
it's an iconic show.
And you're all in one tight, closed little area, and I think it's so cool. You're standing in line, you're at Starbucks, you know, you're at the hotel, you're out hand walking your horses, and it's just a different group of people to be around. And
it's pretty fun,
nice
you know?
to see some different faces at the in-gate.
Yeah.
And I think my customers, they've made friends with a lot of different people at a lot of different horse shows. And, like, we're going to go to Colorado this summer.
Ooh.
Haven't been there in a minute. And looking forward to that. Just new people, different faces, different horses. Yeah. You know, you're not getting beat by the same horse in the undersaddle every single week.
Every time you're like,
you're not having to, like, listen to the same people complain in line at the coffee stand. You know, it's something a little different, and I think that just, you know, I think it's fun. I think our horses like it. I think our staff enjoys it. I think our customers like it. You know, I think Denver will be fun. I'm sure if you go anywhere for, you know, 10 weeks, it gets a little old. I get that. It doesn't matter how nice it is. But, you know, to go somewhere for a couple of weeks, I think we're really excited. We're going to go check out some other stuff, so I'm looking forward to it.
I love that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kendall. Yes. And really telling us about hashtag We Ride Together. Yep. And definitely follow Imagination Lane on Instagram, correct? Yep. Instagram.
And TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah,
I like it. Follow them on TikTok. And thank you guys so much for watching the Horse Girls podcast. We will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Bye.